Hello everyone, bringing you something akin to an unboxing video today, but it's not an unboxing video. This is looking at kit which has arrived with me over Christmas. My friend Alan came to stay with us for Christmas. It was very nice to see him again. And this is an accumulation of stuff which he's picked up for me or sold to me over the preceding year. We haven't been able to meet up as often as we would like to. Alan does live quite a way away from me, and so it's all arrived in one big lot. There is also a Christmas gift in here from my friend David as well, so we're going to have a look at all these bits and pieces which have arrived. Basically it's a collection update, if you will. So without further ado, we'll get into the main part of the video and have a look at what's arrived. So the first thing to look at here is a pair of boots, Combat High. The first pattern in terms of the uppers. These are a little bit different though in that they have an itch side Commando sole, as you can see there, attached with screws. And certainly Royal Marines made use of these. They maintained the design with the Commando sole. So interesting pair of boots there. As I say, another part of the Boots Combat High story. So nice to have a pair of those. We'll carry on with the boots theme. We have here a pair of boots Cold Wet Weather, Boots CWW, and these are actually sealed pattern pair. So they each have a tag, and obviously the seal and everything there. We have the details of that there. Obviously have a more detailed look at these at some point in the future. These are 1953 pattern. You can see that there on the label. But we'll have a look at those in a bit more detail going forward, as I say. A little bit of paperwork here, post-war paperwork. So we've got Keeping the Peace, Duties in Support of the Civil Power. We've got various little pamphlets here. We've got an aid memoir for section commanders and infantry brigade, the Berlin Infantry Brigade there. Various other little bits and pieces, so nice little selection of post-war paperwork there. A repro item, but a useful one to have, is this. Looks very much like a tablecloth or a shower curtain because it in fact is. During the latter stage of the Malayan emergency, and also in Borneo to some degree I believe, the British Army made use of, the Australian Army certainly did as well, there are photographs of it, they made use of locally purchased vinyl material to manufacture shelters. The big problem with the Army's poncho at the time is, of course, it has a big hole in the middle, and much as you can tie that up and try and secure it, you don't get a fully waterproof shelter out of it. So the solution, which is also somewhat lighter as well, was to use sheets of vinyl material which is fully waterproof, and certainly patterns which would somewhat blend in with the jungle tended to be used. And there are actually photographs of these in use on the Australian War Memorial Archive. But a reproduction example of one of those, I believe based on a real one that was found in Sabre Sales, but this is a useful thing to have. Let's say we're not looking at this in any particular order, so we'll mix it up a little bit here with a helmet. This is a Mark I shell. You can see the inside there, we do still have the bales intact, but obviously the liner's completely gone. And the idea is to use this with a reproduction liner. The current reproduction Mark I I use is actually a Belgian shell, and in that instance I removed the rim, but this is a nice example of the rim Mark I. It does have the nice sort of stress marks from the pressing around there, as you can see. So with a repro liner that will work very nicely for reenactment purposes. So say because the line is completely missing, I'm not overly concerned about removing the remaining rivet and putting a new liner into it. So very useful thing to have. Another repro item to have a look at here is a pair of the reproduction British jungle boots, which were and possibly still are manufactured in Australia, and these are barely worn, as you can see. They'll be a very useful thing to have going forwards. Saved me wearing real ones, which I'd like to avoid doing as much as possible, but I don't have to worry so much now. I have a reproduction pair. I'm not going to be wearing out originals, which is good because they are very flimsy and the soles wear through very quickly. Decent pair of reproduction jungle boots there. Another smaller item, this is another Great War item, is a straight razor. I'll actually turn it the right way around so you can read the writing on the box there. And this is actually War Department marked, so it's on the handle. We can just about, if I bring it up to the camera there, if you can see just there, the WD on the handle. So it's a War Department marked straight razor. I didn't have an example of one of these, so that's very nice to have. Another piece of Great War era kit. Another jungle item here is a singlet, and this is part of the late war jungle kit again. You can see this here. There is a mark in this somewhere. We struggled finding it. I remember when we were looking through, trying to find, there we go. It's quite faint, but there is a marking along the hem there, as you can see, which way up it should be. But unfortunately not much left of that there, but it is what it is. Very nice to have one of these. I'm convinced I'm going to miss something in all this. Another part of the late war jungle kit, we have here a 1944 pattern bottle in its carrier, a very nice example, as you can see there, which is nice that the ones I have are quite heavily worn, so it's nice to have a decent one for the collection. And this is an early example of the bottle which retains its chain. So the examples I have in my collection have, up to this point, have all had the nylon cord replacing the chain, but this is how the bottle was originally designed. And you can see otherwise the same design as the first pattern that's commonly seen in use, with the cord still have the rubber O-ring there to provide a seal and so forth, the same design of metal cap, but with this metal chain rather than the later cord that was added. So very nice to have one of those, the true first pattern, 1944 pattern bottle, along with a cup and obviously the carrier there as well. So a very nice addition to the collection, and as I say, a nice clean tidy example to keep in the collection rather than displaying it out and about. So as I say, not having had a nice clean example of the carrier as well, it is nice to have one of those in decent condition. Another piece of great war kit here. This is a entrenching tool helve, as you can see. Notice the thin profile of it, and these were beefed up, I think in 1915 or 16. Ramsey was telling me about this, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but somewhere on the handle there is a stamp. It's difficult to make out, but this is actually dated 1915. So just let me try and find it here. I'm struggling because of the pitting, but anyway, it is what it is. It's a Great War era entrenching tool helve, an early one, so nice to have one of those. Some anti-gas kit. We have here a rather crunchy Canadian anti-gas hood designed to go over the helmet, and this will need warming up in sunlight before I can pull it apart and have a look at it in a bit more detail. It's dried and stuck together, but the best thing to do with these, along with gas capes as well, is to let them warm gently in the sun. Don't put them close to a directed source of heat like a blower or anything like that. Just let them warm up gently of their own accord, and then they become a lot more pliable. So I'm going to have to store this in the interim, and in the summer try and unfold it and have a better look at it. But that's what it is, Canadian anti-gas hood. More jungle stuff. We have here a bush jacket and trousers. I think it's actually referred to as a shirt if I remember correctly, but shirt and trousers SCC 19. Collectorism for these is the 1947 pattern. I do have a jacket and a pair of trousers already, but the trousers are very poor condition, I'm afraid to say. Wearable but heavily repaired, and the waist fastening has been modified and so forth. So it's nice to have a pair of the trousers in original condition. And this particular jacket has a rather nice example of Far East Land Forces insignia on the arm there, which is nice to have. The other one doesn't have any badges. So between the two, I now have a set of unbadged plain green trousers and jacket, and then this nice example of the badged up jacket as well. And with these, I also got a waist belt, which is actually associated with the late war jungle uniform, the drill version of that, but was part of this set, and it's actually all named to the same chap. There is a name, I unroll this, there's a name tag in here, J.D. Bisher. You can see that there. And his name appears on the other kit as well. So very nice to have a named set of uniforms for one chap. Always nice to have that. And obviously I'll try and do some research on him, see if I can find out any information. But we'll see. Maybe come back to this if I do manage to find something about him and his service. So very nice to have. Another item which I'm very pleased to have is this nice example of a mid-Second War service dress jacket, badged up to the Army Service Corps in this instance. It's a very nice condition example. The ones I've had previously were somewhat worn, and I've not minded using them from that point of view, but this one is a nice example which will be kept in the collection and probably not see use very often, but photographs and things probably. And we've got the label in here. If I just bring this out, size 11, and you can see there the date of 1942. If I bring this up to the camera, be a little clearer, you can see there. So very nice example of one of those. More jungle related equipment. We have here a very clean, probably unissued example, well, it certainly appears to be an unissued example, of the second pattern, 1944 pattern haversack, introduced in the mid 1960s. And you can see this really is in good nick. The lining and everything is in very nice condition. And there is a marking on this just in here. I believe the date there is 68. And you can see the details of the native stock number and so forth there as well. So just a nice clean example of those. I do have one, but it's had some of the straps and so forth removed, so it's nice to have a decent example of one of these for the collection again. Next thing to look at here is more footwear. 1979 dated plimsolls made by Barter, size 10, which is my size. So these are the post-war, well, the later Cold War examples of the army issue plimsolls in black rather than the brown canvas. So again, good to have a pair of those. They're unworn from what I can see. There's no wear or anything on the soles, so nice part of the kit to have for the collection again. Next item to look at here, I'm not going to unravel this, but this is an Australian 1966 dated, if I can get the label on view there, 1966 dated mosquito net, all tied up with its nylon cord there. So as I say, I'm not going to unwrap it now and show you the details of it, but that's what it is. Another part of the late war jungle kit is a liner, or a waterproof bag designed as a liner for the 1944 pattern rucksack. Could also be used as a flotation bag as well. It's part of the late war jungle equipment. This particular example being a 1966 dated example. You can see that there. And as I say, I don't have a rucksack or anything, but it's a nice part of that equipment to have. And they don't turn up all that often, but that's what this is. It's a waterproof bag designed as a liner for that rucksack. So more jungle kit, or jungle associated kit anyway. A pair of basic pouches. These are part of the late Second World War era Indian jungle green 1937 pattern equipment. So they are 1937 pattern basic pouches fitted with a quick release, and you can actually see the date here, or part of the date, 1940, possibly a 5 there, hard to see. You can see a 5 there, so presuming these are, that looks very much like the same stamp. 1945 dated. Still retaining the blank loops in the flap there, the ballistite blanks for firing rifle grenades, something that never seems to have disappeared from the Indian design of these, even though it did in manufacture elsewhere. The big drainage eyelets on the bottom, so they're of typical Indian manufacture, you can see that, but in this green material rather than tan. And obviously an interesting part of that sort of a late war kit in adapting it better to jungle fighting, because Blanco didn't last very long in the jungle, so having something purpose dyed was far superior. So it's nice to have a set of basic pouches. I have made a video looking at some of the other components of this previously, but I've not up to this point had a set of basic pouches for the equipment, so they're very nice to have. A couple of ration bags here, not just a useful bit of kit to have for the collection again. Just a couple of those there, two different examples. Not sure if these are stamped. I didn't have a close enough look at these. There's no stamp around the throat there in that one. Oh, there we go. 1943 dated example there, as you can see. So both useful things to have. We'll get on to puttees and leg wear now. Basically, we have a set of officers' puttees here. You can actually see the stamp still visible there, and these are also fitted with the little brass tags. So we've got left with the L there and the Fox brand on there as well, and the other one of course has the right tag on there. So officers' puttees made in this lighter tan material. And another set of puttees. These are again part of the late war jungle kit, and you can see they're made in a jungle green, grey-green shade. They are otherwise standard short puttees, but made in this green colour. So very nice to have a pair of those, something I've been after for a little while. And another part of the late war jungle kit, what at first glance may look like American leggings, these are actually British and part of the late war jungle kit. These lace up in exactly the same way, hooks and laces, But if we look in here, you can see the broad arrow and the manufacturer's stamp there in the top. These are size 2. They do function in exactly the same way as the US leggings, with the similar design of buckle there, the strap that runs under the boot. There's a slightly clearer stamp in this one, if I remember correctly. Oh no, it's even more faded, sorry. So the other one was the clearer one. But very nice things to have, and again, part of the late war jungle kit. Just need to sort myself out with a pair of the brown leather boots now. We'll see. That's something to look out for in the future. So those there. Again, nice to have more of the late war jungle kit coming together. It's not all army kit. We have here a set of brace attachments for the 1925 pattern RAF web equipment. You see the very nice clear Air Ministry stamps on the back there. The use of the round ring on these earlier example of these brace attachments. This was a common feature with the 1919 pattern naval equipment. The brace attachments originally used a round ring in the middle section there. Very nice to have. Good further piece of the 1925 pattern equipment. And a very nice trials item which has been talked about on the channel previously. This is the Trials 1958 pattern water bottle, which is designed to fit in the rear pouches, the kidney pouches, which is not a great design idea, but it's nevertheless interesting, and it's great to have one of these. I have to say, I've been after one for a while, so it's fantastic to add one to the collection, and a very nice tidy example, and just interesting from that sort of developmental period of 1958 pattern. As I say, this is something which has been discussed on the channel previously. And last, but by no means least, and I'm not sure how I'm going to fit this all into shot here, is a Gulf War era flight suit, which my friend David very kindly gifted to me as a Christmas present. He also provided me with some insignia. So we have here Fleet Air Arm, Royal Navy insignia, wings with a name beneath there, and Lieutenant Commander's rank slides. And then he also provided me with a 15 Squadron, this red name badge with the RAF wings on there as well, 15 Squadron RAF. So I have to get myself a squadron patch for that as well now. You'll have seen this previously in a video looking at the display at Hack Green, where David was portraying Gulf War aircrew of the RAF of 15 Squadron, and they had these interesting red backed name badges and the bright red squadron patch as well. So a really nice little selection of bits and pieces from my friend David there to round this off. As I say, last but by no means least, thank you very much again, David. So a big thank you to Alan for bringing all these bits up for me, and obviously picking bits out of his collection that were surplus to his requirements, and picking other bits up for me as well in the intervening 12 months. Thank you very much, Alan. And a massive thank you to David. Very generous Christmas present there, David. Thank you very much indeed. So I hope you found it interesting looking at these bits and pieces. If you have, and you'd perhaps like to see more detailed videos looking at these going forward, please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, little notification button down below. That will of course alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you would like to support the channel, you can. Both Patreon and PayPal are linked down below. And as ever, a huge thank you to everybody who supports the channel using those two methods. It's greatly appreciated, as I always say. If you'd like to follow the channel on social media, you can. Facebook, Instagram and Twitter are all linked down below. And if you'd like to get in touch with me but you don't really use social media, there is of course an email address down there as well. That's everything for this video, so until next time, bye for now.